Hey guys, Dylan from the Geek Duo here, and today I'll be bringing you my reaction to Ironheart Season 1, Episode 6, titled The Past is the Past. Riri builds her most powerful suit yet, but she's unsure if it's enough to beat Parker and the Hood. Interesting. Two things about that are interesting. One, it says she builds her most powerful suit, not that she's built her most powerful suit. So that that's interesting in a confusing way. Unless they're talking about finalizing the infusion of magic as having built it. There's also the fact that I still don't know how she's going to operate that without an AI. And the second thing that's interesting is it's referring to Parker and the Hood as two separate entities. That is very interesting because there is one thing about the Hood as a character that we still haven't seen. We've seen him turn invisible while holding his breath. We've seen him bending bullets at will. He doesn't have the airwalking boots as far as we know, so that's just not a part of it. But there is still one thing we haven't seen. I wonder if that's in relation to that. I'll discuss that more if we do see it, but yes, it's very interesting. Now, this was meant to come out yesterday, this reaction. The problem with that is it's finally been 3 months since my surgery. So I'm heading back to work this week, which means I need to get back into night shift mode. And I sort of forgot to do the recording in my sleep deprivation this morning. So yeah, that's on me. I just completely forgot I was out of it. So it's actually probably a good thing I did do the recording anyway, but yeah. Anyway, let's get this started in three, two, one, go. It's also interesting that there was no mention of Zeke in. Like, had they said Ezekiel in the Hood, yeah, that's fine. To either of yous. Or the crew, I guess. Because Cloud did vouch for him. It is interesting that he let them go. Trying to trying to get some of the comments from the last episode that I didn't get to do the analysis on out now before this one starts. So, hmm. Okay, I thought that was going to be Riri having a like in her head moment. Like they were going to do that distorted camera rotation, so like dolly zoom, but not quite. But no. You really can't climb a fence by yourself? Hey, Parker. That's the Snapchat cube audio I was talking about in the last one. The hey, it's me. I was actually, depending on how this episode goes, I was thinking of making an edit, but so far in this one scene, there hasn't been really much opportunity. It's a little weird. This place was at one point an actual pizza place. Hmm. Hey, Shadow. I'm here to convince you to sin. There's something weird going on with that pizza. I don't know if it's just being changed in the edit or the fact that everything seems to be shifting. Get everything you deserve, not what you want, what you deserve. Hmm. Why did that almost sound like the Lego Batman tune? The doom 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 doom. You're not even gonna tell him to try holding his breath? How do you even figure that out? Like they did say it influences, so I guess the influencing could be to hold his breath. That is an excessive amount of food. I wonder if you could get him to tell the truth. Even yourself. Hmm. Where should you be then? At this point, it's just the him getting the idea across. He knows he can't resist, but he still wants to show some defiance. Are you trying to tattoo your own face? You're trying to remake Natalie. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think that's one of the powers that the hood can grant. Hmm. She loses her friend again, and she slips back right into how she was at the start of the season. But she does also acknowledge her support system. That's good. I mean, that's an incredibly realistic thing of an act of trauma can regress massively. Hmm. I'm really surprised they didn't go with the "now that'd be telling" reply when he said, "Where the hell have you been?" Hmm. Are you not used to this appearance? The way he's playing with his hair and that. Hmm. You really didn't think of just pew pew pew? Or maybe try a counter hack? I would just like to ask that you get out of the suit before you knee me. Well, directed towards something good. Hmm. Was half expecting him just full. Now, here's a question: can she sense him when he's invisible? Like use the scanners and that? This doesn't seem to have the. No, he does. Hmm. Never said that. I'm sorry, Hood, but what are your bullets gonna do against that? Yeah. This seems to be what I was alluding to at the start. I don't think that's killed either of them. Now what are you gonna do, Riri? She didn't even have that suit for, I'd say, an hour. And again, it did say she builds her suit, so. So, who's gonna come to um? He never trusted her. Okay, okay, you had me done. You had me fooled there. I really thought this was gonna be a friends we made along the way kind of thing. Possibly shouldn't have been so candid about the fact that without the hood, you are nothing more than a man. Like, if he hadn't have said that back in, what was it, episode 2, 3, then she probably would have had to have devised a different way. Or maybe, Zelma and that would have been able to, figure it out anyway. Yeah, I could eat. No. What do you mean by some acquaintances? Who else have you dealt with that she knows? I noticed he teleported it away with the hood. Hmm. He did start it. He's starting this off the same way as the Parker Robbins. Yeah, those are the kinds of people that would be willing to deal with him. So, hmm, I like that touch. I saw that in the spoon. Yeah, that makes sense. Hmm. Is she seeing through the? I wouldn't even say lies. No. You can call me Mephisto. The rumors we heard years ago of Baron Cohen um playing Mephisto in Ironheart. Like I said, I had this spoiled to me the day that it came out. Now, to be fair, I didn't actually know 100% that he was playing Mephisto. Like, they could have had him be a humanoid face for Dormammu. Hmm. What are you gonna give him in return for that, Riri? Hmm. Spell it out. You're smarter than this girl. Get him to at least say what it is that you won't miss before you make a deal. Because he said Parker wouldn't miss what he'd lose, and he ended up losing his cousin. The fact that she's actually incorporating rune work into her. Um, is that just what he was trying to show her as? Hmm? Is this what he's showing her, or is that running out of sync? Hmm. Now, I did have an interesting thought after the last episode on my way to see Superman of how interesting would it be if they were able to sneak a Young Avengers show in little movie, with Mephisto being the big bad and her being a sort of sleeper, not sleeper agent, but double agent sort of thing. Sort of like, oh no, there's the sort of in the same way that in the original run, I'm pretty sure one of the first things that the Young Avengers went after was Kang, and Iron Lad is actually a young Nathaniel Richards who was trying to change his future. So having the Young Avengers go up against Mephisto, I thought there'd be a end credit thing, so I just jumped ahead to that. But also, would they want to use Mephisto in a Young Avengers kind of thing? There's also the fact that he said acquaintances. Because Parker's one, who would the others be? What are you doing, Parker? Supreme as in Sorcerer Supreme? Hmm. Because Parker doesn't really know any actual magic. Especially not this version of Parker, so I know it's pretty much anyone can use magic in this. Like it's within everybody to be able to use it. I just inadvertently made one of the Doctor Strange hand signals as my sort of hand movement while I'm trying to get my thoughts out. But yeah, so I guess he would be able to use magic. Can the Hood use magic? It does specifically say the Nasanti Demon's gear draws power from Dormammu. The Hood's cloak grants him invisibility and teleportation. He can also channel its magic through his pistols. But in some storylines, he's able to use actual magic. Okay. Because, there was the one thing of that I wanted to see if they were actually going to do in this, which they did, sort of. Nowhere near as much, but because I mean, and let me just open this in new tabs. Um, trying to get the actual shots. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Let's open that in a new image. anything else? Any showing actual spell work or I guess that one counts. Um yeah. Um there we go. What are we doing? Do I even have a microphone on this one? Hmm. We'll see. Yeah, I do. So this is Parker with Lady Loki after the whole Ragnarok thing, being given magical abilities. Here we've got the demon form of the Hood. And it's interesting, these three, because you've got Speed, you've got Hulkling. I don't know who this is. It might be. Yeah, I got no idea who that is. But these are two young Avengers, so maybe. But here's him casting actual magic. And here's another shot of his demonic form. That's what I thought. Full the full face turning into a mouth kind of look is what I was thinking of when we had the Hood go in demon mode, quite literally demon mode. But yeah, that was the one thing that I was reminded of that we still hadn't seen from him was his demonic form. So we did actually get it in there. Now, another thing that's interesting is Xialing, when she had the Hood in What If, her facial scarring was made a lot worse. Like she had scars all over her face, and then when the Hood disappeared, those scars shrunk down. Now, with the Hood, his didn't seem to actually shrink down. Like they he still had the same facial scarring and all that he did when he last used the Hood in that scene with Zelma at the end. So yeah, that's interesting. And it's yet another theme of someone making a deal with Mephisto or using something that's from a deal with Mephisto ending up with scars because we saw Riri's arm. Now, having a devil's mark from a Faustian deal is not new. Like a lot of media depict witches and that as having like a devil's mark to signify their ties to the devil with getting their source of power and everything. And if you want to get into like shadow hunters, all the warlocks have some demonic, well, demon feature from their parentage that signifies them as a warlock that draws from that mythology. So having and also children of similar demonic ancestry have the same kinds of demon marks. Like, uh, well, we don't actually see it that much of similar ancestry. So, but like, Magnus being the son of Abaddon has cat eyes, and it's said that all other children of Abaddon would have cat eyes. So all the people who've made deals with Mephisto having similar scarring in that does make sense. I know I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I eventually made my way back around. But yeah, so I don't know what they're doing with Riri. Like, it seems it seems to me she didn't realize that she'd be getting the actual Natalie back. Like, she thought she was getting AI Nat back, and she was willing to sell her soul for that. So, really, Mephisto went above and beyond in his side of the deal. Like, really, he gave her more than she asked for. And I only wonder if that's going to mean he's going to ask for more in return. Huh. That could be an issue. Now, I did say at the start of this episode how an act of trauma sets back recovery massively. And that was with Riri shutting down, retreating back into her suit, using untested methods and everything in an attempt to escape from talking about the fact that she just lost Natalie again. And at the end of this episode, she made the same decision she did at the start of abandoning her morals, basically, going down a dark path if it means being able to have her friend back. Like, all the healing that she did with the AI version of Natalie basically got reset at having to see her die again, sending Riri back to square one. And realistic, her decisions in this were like realistic in like a response to trauma. Of yeah, she's in the exact same spot. She's gonna make the same mistakes, and it's almost it's almost in line with what it seemed like Parker was getting at with the it hurts without and I need it. He was crying out almost like an addict who was in the initial stages of withdrawal when she took the hood away. Now I'm not really well versed in that, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but the way in which he acted with that hood is similar to how Riri acts in regards to Natalie. And I wonder if that was the point that they were making, where Natalie is almost like an addiction to Riri. And while she is a strong of will character, everyone can fall to their vices. And we just saw that when you've got someone who knows how to play on those, then they're going to be able to get her to fall. Like, she's dealing with what is essentially the literal devil from the Bible, to call it back to the Snap Cube's voice. Yeah, so he knows how to make deals. He knows how to worm his way in, make people act on their darkest desires and impulses. So, of course, if him coming in where she's at one of her most vulnerable points, like, yeah, she did just have a victory, but she got her ass handed to her. She lost her friend again. In fact, you could almost say she had to kill her friend in exchange for being able to do this. And now someone's on her doorstep saying, "You've eaten your cake, but I can give it back to you." Or more, "You've eaten your cake, I can give you another one." To sort of make the analogy work better with getting this original thing retroactively, I guess. Yeah. Marvel did a very, I'm not sure if ambitious is the right word, but in a sense, the hero of this story failed. Like, the source of evil is still out there. Not only is it out there, it has its grips in her. She quite literally sold her soul to the devil. And yeah, you don't really see the good guy do that. And as I said, it's entirely believable the way in which it happened. Like, I believe that someone in Riri's situation would make the exact same decisions that she did. Like, huh. I do wonder what repercussions that's going to have. Also, what the hell is Hood doing with Zelma? Is this a hang on. Is this a I'm tracking down the people close to Riri, trying to get to the source of what her suit power is to cut her off from that to try and get my way back at her? Or is it just completely unrelated? He happened upon Zelma in the way that he said, like, and he's just looking for another fix almost. Because that's what magic is to him. It's an addiction. And now he's found a source of magic, strong magic. Yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed this. I will say that this will probably be one of the weaker episodes, the finale. Like, most of the episodes, they were ramping up in terms of quality. And then this one falls possibly about the midpoint in terms of rankings. Yeah. I do wonder what they're going to do with Zeke. They didn't kill him off. Clown Slug, the Blood siblings, all of them are still out there. Unless Parker took them out off screen. Parker's still out there. I really thought that he was going to be dealt with proper. Like, she didn't even do anything to arrest him. Like, he's still a criminal. Like, I guess she couldn't have really done anything to get the law involved because then he'd be able to wrap her into it and everything in a similar way to what he was threatening with the one in Tunnel. How, like, you could report this, but then everyone's going to know that we breached your system easily. So I guess it is sort of along the same lines as that. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna end this one here. Um, I don't know what show I'm gonna do next. So until then, I'll catch you in the next one.